What's going on, guys? Episode 19, the Sunday Sit-Down. We have a few special guests today. Brandon, you want to introduce them?
So we actually have two of my professors here today. You guys, introduce yourselves, give us a little background about yourselves, get it started.
We'll do one at a time, too.
Yeah, so you go first.
Okay, well, I'm Heather Hausenblas. I'm a professor at Jacksonville University.
Nice.
And my area of specialty is health psychology, health behaviors.
You're using dolphins, right?
What does it mean? What does it mean? Like for people that don't know, so what is that? What do you do? What do you research?
Tell us your life. Yeah.
All of it. No. that would take a while. Let's see, I am fascinated by human behavior, health behavior. So I study and research, why people exercise, why they don't, what happens kind of to people's mood when they exercise. Can people exercise too much, become addicted to it? How is this related to, eating? Why do most people not follow a healthy diet? Like, what happens to that? How can people sleep better? So how all of our health behaviors are interrelated. So fascinated by that, study that, love it. And then in my free time, I have 3 boys. They keep me extra busy chasing them around. So that kind of sums up what I do.
One of them's in college now, so at least you don't have to chase him as much.
Not as much.
How close are they in age, though? Because I
know, like, me and my cousins, we were really close. There was fights every single day.
Well, there's a lot of, I don't know if I would say fights, but a lot of energy and activity. Our oldest 2 are about 20 months apart, and then it took me a while to recover from that, and then our youngest, there was a big gap of about 5-6 years.
Makes sense.
So, lots of testosterone in our house.
Her youngest is the same age as my oldest. So I have 2. Jake and Johnny are the same age.
Yeah.
And then, so I have 2. I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. Were you done? You sounded like you were done. So, my name is Mandy Milla. I am a professor at JU. I have had the extreme joy of knowing Brandon since he was a freshman.
Joy.
And literally, I could potentially tear up at some point, but I'm going to pull it in. I'm going to pull it in because I've got a couple of weeks, right, till graduation. So I'm just going to try to, we're not going to think about that right now. So my background is exercise science. For me, I like the physical activity, getting people in, moving, how the body moves, what the best way is to move so that you don't get hurt or to alleviate pain. Like you and I have talked about this a lot, like back pain, if people just stretch a little more and exercise a little more, make sure their form is correct. We can get rid of back pain, we can get rid of shoulder pains. Like there's so many things that if you just get up and get moving, like we can get rid of it. And it's like with so many small little habits. It doesn't have to be crazy.
This is cutting you off too, but I have a really good question I'm going to go into after you guys are done after this. So after you,
will you be able to hold on to it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're better than me then.
I hope so. That's why I'm saying it now. So.
So I've been at JU for about 11 years. I taught high school PE for 7 years. I've coached soccer. I've coached softball. I've coached flag football. I've been brought in to other teams to help them with like technical training. Even the high school weightlifting teams, I've been brought in to evaluate their training programs. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so when they bring me in, I'm always like, yes. Let me get in there and give you just a few things you can tweak so that your athletes get injured less, and let me just show you a good way to cool them down at the end even that will help them get injured less. So for me it's similar to Heather. It's like I just want people to know it's like it doesn't take huge big things to make huge big life changes. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, the 2 kids, 8 and 12, girl and a boy, they actually don't argue that much. They get on each other's nerves a little bit, but they move through it.
Well, me and my older sister used to have brawls back in our days. And then my dad started turning into dance-offs. And we started watching a lot of dance movies. So my dad was like, all right, no more fights. We're going to have dance-offs.
I really feel like I want to meet your dad. Oh, I will at graduation one day.
Yeah, he'll be there. Cool guy.
I'm so excited. I've heard so much about him. I'm really
super nice guy, yeah.
All right, Garrett, what was your question?
Okay, so I know all of us now, we all kind of go to school, the same thing too. One of the biggest things we learned in school was just moving. What are your thoughts on this might get a little political, the whole COVID thing, shutting down gyms, shutting down everything too.
What?
When everything shut down, they shut down gyms, they lock people in the houses.
Yes, I heard you.
Yeah. So I kind of want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Brandon knows because I've talked about it in class.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first, Heather? Do you have thoughts, or do you want?
I do. Well, I do have a few thoughts.
I have a lot.
I thought you did.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was excited.
Yeah.
I have a couple
So
of those.
this is what I do, right? I research stuff. So when COVID hit, I go to the science and say, okay, what does it say about wearing a mask? Is 6 feet, and could not really find anything. Could not understand why this was happening. The whole social distancing, and with something like this happening, people need to move, they need to exercise, they need to be around other people, and I thought it was, to me, almost an epic fail.
Yeah.
That was happening, and people's health behaviors, like from depression, anxiety, people becoming more sedentary, just kind of skyrocketed, and social isolation. So I think it's just been a terrible thing, and people have struggled with it. I struggled with it, and this is what I know and what I do. And I think like the kids in particular, all of a sudden they couldn't play any sports anymore, and that was taken away from them. And,
or see their friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it was just, I think, on many different levels, it was just the wrong thing to do. There's some countries, like my family's, I'm Canadian, all my family is in Canada, and they're on like still complete, absolute lockdown.
Over a year.
They've kind of opened up a little bit, and then they go to the extreme. So we haven't been able to get home now, and since it's been over a year, and I don't think we'll get home this summer. I don't know when we'll get home. So even like not being able to connect with your family, and I talk to my nieces and nephews up there, and they're not playing sports. They're still like being homeschooled. It is crazy. It is crazy.
I have a couple clients that I work with my online fitness stuff that are Canadian, and one of them, I have to check in with her a lot. Like she is serious. Like it's like I saw her. She was here, and now it's like I'm just like let's just
mentally or physically.
Both. Both. But the mental side is really the part that I'm seeing kind of slide down. I like to play devil's advocate sometimes, and I will say, okay, I'll give you, you're in charge of a lot of people, something big and scary is coming, we don't really understand it yet, so you have to figure out something, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe you make a sweeping judgment, but then in the moment that you make that sweeping judgment, this is the same for me, okay, now but you look, okay, so we have to stay 6 feet apart. Where did that come from? It came from a German scientist over 100 years ago for tuberculosis. Yeah. So it's like, why are we using this information? It doesn't relate, and it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I can't remember what university did a study and found out that with elementary school kids, that they can actually be 3 feet apart, makes zero difference.
Yeah.
If they're 3 feet apart, or 6 feet apart, I'm like, I definitely have strong opinions. But it doesn't matter how far apart they are, basically, that they could be closer together and it's not going to make a difference. And then, so for me, it's like, okay, so we know that exercise, right? Fitness, moving, working out, and being social is good for you. Yeah. It'll make you healthier. So what do? Let's close the gyms. Let's close the national parks. Let's close the beaches. Yeah. Let's close all the ways that people can get outside and feel better, go to a gym and get healthier. This to me has been such a massive fail on where we could have taken this and said, look, world, not just America, look, world. We have taken this turn, right? We're not moving as much. Obesity is on the rise. We're making these lifestyle choices that are sending us to a point where we're going to start, and they're predicting that we're getting ready with this generation that's growing up now to start seeing for the first time life expectancy. Instead of to continue people getting older, we're going to start seeing it drop. Oh, man. Because we've hit that point now where people are more sedentary, and now COVID, we're even more sedentary, right? So we're doing we're doing everything backwards. It's like, here was this great opportunity. Look, being healthy makes you healthier. You're going to be less likely to have the effects of any disease. Yeah. You cannot tell me a single one that where you're fit, you're not going to be better off facing it. And so for me, I was like, dude, what? Where?
And that's so tough to tell people too, especially now, when everything's first started going. You're like, hey, go work out, go do something. People look at you like you're crazy, Mm-hmm. People get mad at you for saying, hey, maybe instead of doing all this extreme, everything you're doing, lockdown, mask, everywhere, just maybe go for a walk, maybe eat a little better, Mm-hmm. People look at you like you're crazy. They were attacking you,
A lot of times, like we talked about, it all depends on the hierarchy and needs of everybody in America. Everybody's, we're in the fitness world, so our hierarchy needs kind of teeters harder differently than other people's. General population, they think about, okay, first I need to make money, I need to be able to do this, I need to be able to do that, and then it's working out to the bottom of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. So it's that's why we're saying, being trainers and stuff, when you lose people because they say they don't have the money to pay for it, it's because when you don't think you have money, you drop whatever at the bottom, and working out is at the bottom for a lot of people. Yeah. So that's why the first thing that they thought to drop was, okay, we cut out the gyms, not a lot of people work out anyway because obesity rates are high, and the hierarchy of needs is like, okay, well, we need money, so we need to find a way for people to work without having to go to the gym. So they cut out gym, they cut out everything that doesn't matter to them personally because it's not seen as that big of a issue. And we talk about that all the time, like kinesiology and exercise science. And it's like people don't notice about, especially like social wellness. I remember talking about that in your class. Like social wellness and basically physical wellness are the two things that will basically guide you to any type of like luxury you want to have. Because if you're happier, if you feel better, you work better, you concentrate better, you're more efficient in what you do. So it's like if you cut off like your physicality and you're able to talk to people, and it's like we just get a bunch of people that sit in a room typing on a computer and that breaks down on you.
Right.
Like that's why like suicide rates go up and everything because like mentally you're not meant to be sitting in a dark room all day. Like I can't even do that for 3 hours. I get pissed. I gotta go on a walk or go do something. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So it's like imagine doing that all the time.
We're social beings. We need to be around other people, and we're now in this social like isolation, loneliness, like literally epidemic right now. And that's your best predictor of your overall health. If you look back to the last 30 days and say, how many days did you not feel healthy? If you indicate that you feel like you don't have any friends or any close connections, you'll say that the last 30 days, every day you were unhealthy, mentally and physically. You add the pandemic where we're kind of cooped up together, and it's just going to skyrocket. And we talk about exercise. Bob Salas, he was at JU a few years back, he was our distinguished lecturer, and he was the past president of the American College of Sports Medicine. And one of the big things that he did is he started this exercise as medicine movement where when you go to the doctor, your doctor checks your vital signs, heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, but also should check your exercise level. Are you exercising enough? If not, then you get a prescription, right, to go and exercise. Well, he just recently published a study that's getting a lot of press release showing, and he looked at the data showing that people who regularly exercise were less likely to get COVID, and if they did get COVID, they would recover probably more quickly from that. Just showing, that we need to move, and we got this wrong, over the pandemic. I think one of the potential silver linings of it is when it hit, I did see a lot of my neighbors, outside walking a lot more, like walking their pets and getting out because it was the only thing that they could do. So you kind of had that little sense of community, even though you weren't going close to anybody. So I suppose that was a good thing to get out, but still. Not enough.
That's where we went hiking and came up with our business.
Yeah, we did.
So.
What business?
Our business, our journal business.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
Healthy Moves Journaling, that's our business.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I understand with like exercise why it's at the bottom of everybody's hierarchy of needs because it takes amount of time in order to get to where you want to be. And like in America especially, like everything's now. Like, it's my money and I need it now.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to be able to do a 6-minute workout and have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone wants to be able to do a keto diet and be shredded in a week.
Take a pill and be healthy.
Yeah, take a thermogenic and cut off all fats. Everybody wants something quick and they don't want to work for it. So that's why a lot of people do not really see exercise as a top thing, because they can't get it immediately.
Right.
They can't just start going to the gym, be obese, show up to the gym one time and lose all the weight. They have to work for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
it's like-
and so on that note too, a lot of times, and so and this is where, so I'm going to go ahead and tap this keg. I think the media does a disservice to people as well, right? So a lot of times there's this whole movement, this whole body positive movement, and this whole other thing that's out on social media, and then you see it on the news, where, like if you're overweight and you're, all you're doing is looking at people who exercise and blah, 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 well then that's their fault. Like, let's blame the healthy people because let's blame the people that you're watching that are fit and working out and have a 6-pack, and now you feel bad about yourself because you don't have that. Well, that's not their fault. You have to take personal responsibility for your actions. So for me, where I run into issues sometimes is the people that want to be body positive. And then sometimes, they might need to lose some weight. Like you can't walk around that. Like there are healthy weights that people should be. That doesn't mean everybody has to be ripped, everybody has to be a 6-pack, everybody's supposed to be skinny and I should see your ribs or any of that nonsense. It just means you need to have a healthy weight for your body, your bones, to be able to carry it healthily so that your joints aren't getting messed up. And as you age, you're gonna be able to move better.
Yeah.
So with that said, people have a hard time taking personal responsibility. Taking personal responsibility is hard. It's hard, it sucks, and when you look at yourself and realize the choices that you're making that got you to this point and how you have to undo them, like you said, we're a microwave society. We want to hit the minute button and we want it to be done. Or 2 days, right? It's Amazon Prime. I ordered it. It's here. Where's my 6-pack? So it's really hard for people to be like, well, I've been doing this for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. I've had these habits, and now I have to try to figure out how to undo them. And we get so hard on ourselves. And so it's like, what's that saying? Like, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So when we get out there, we're comparing ourselves.
I never heard that.
Oh no!
No, that's good. Yeah.
That gives you a
It's showing up in my Facebook memories today. I like that. Whoa! But when we sit there and we compare ourselves to other people, and then we want to put the anger that we have about where we are onto them instead of owning it ourselves, that's where we run into trouble. When we start taking ownership of all our choices, all our decisions, everything we've done, even the parts we don't want to take ownership of, that's when the train starts to leave the station and go the other direction. That's where we start to actually flip the script and are like, I own everything. All of my choices got me where I am, so that means all of my choices are going to get me out of this. And so that's where we have to and it's hard. It's so hard. And there's days where you're going to cry and you're going to be like, oh my God, look at what I've done. When you finally start owning it, but then you're like, there's almost a freedom in that, because you're like, okay, I'm really sad. This really sucks. This is really hard. Look what I have done. But now you have the power inside of you to say, but I have the power to switch this around now. Like, this is up to me. It's not up to my husband, it's not up to my kids, it's not up to my neighbors, it's not up to anybody else around me, my coworkers, whatever. This is me. I can do this. And you get accountability. So you go to a gym, you get a coach, like you have a coach, right? To help you hit your goals. I work with people, they have a coach. Heather works with people, we work with our students. This is why students don't learn on their own, right? They have teachers to help them, and then you have your cohorts, the students around you, and study groups. We do these things together, we lift each other up, we drag each other sometimes along, but we do these things together and while taking that personal responsibility too. And that's where the magic happens for me. So, to take it back to COVID, that's where we missed the mark. We separated everybody. We took all the support away, and we took all the things that can make you feel better away, and then we've also started saying this group is bad and this group is bad and you should be doing this and you have to do this, and if you don't do this, then you're clearly this kind of a person, or you're clearly this kind of a person. And again, taking away personal responsibility and blaming it on this group, these people, and
You touch on the whole aspect that good health is hard. It's hard work, and most people don't know what to do. But most people want to be healthy, but they just don't know how to go about and do it. Like, if we stood on the corner and started to survey people and say, is exercise a good thing for you to do? 95+% of people are going to say, yes, it's a good thing. I know it'll make me healthy, but they don't know how to do it. So that's where
it's the lack of knowledge in the world.
And knowledge, just knowing is not enough. That's why, we need kind of the behavior change in the gyms and the coaches and all the information. But there's almost too much information out there, it becomes overwhelming. Like, even if you Google diets, for example. Well, what diet are you supposed to follow? Is it, is it keto? Is it that? And it's overwhelming. So people want to be healthy, but they just don't know oftentimes where to go. That's why having a podcast, like this, to give people information is really, really helpful.
Yeah. And the thing is, like we talked about before, I have nothing against not knowing. That's why you don't do. But I have something against ignorance. I have something against people that do know, they know what to do, they just choose not to do it. But a lot of our New Year's episode, we talked about New Year's resolutions. And my biggest thing has always been, people are so right or left that they don't work themselves up to getting something. Like New Year's, are okay, I'm gonna lose weight. They go to the gym 7 days in a row, and they're sore as shit the next week, and they go twice. Then it's like, okay, I gotta get back to it. They go 3 days, and then they go 1 day, and the next work starts back up, and next thing they're at work. Instead of going, okay, I'm gonna go Tuesday and Thursday this week, and then go Tuesday and Thursday until end of January, get a nice groove, then maybe go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe go 4 days a week. They just try to go all in, and they're like, this shit's hard, I'm done. Like, I'm not seeing any results. I've been going to the gym 7 days a week for the past 2 weeks, and I'm just sore, and I don't see anything in the mirror, because they're just not, they're not doing it the right way. They're not taking the time to figure out what's good for their body. Like, me personally, if I work out 7 days a week, I'm screwed. Like
Yeah.
I can't do that. Like I could do I do 5 days a week and that's pushing it.
Yeah.
But it's like there's so many different aspects, like the nutrition side, the psychology side, like knowing everything goes into working out in order to see results. Like you can work your ass, cause like I mean at JU, like I play baseball at JU, but like after practice, the only thing that's open is Little Caesars, Down Merrill, Taco Bell. So like after practice, like we hop in my truck, we go down the street, we go get Taco Bell taco boxes and get $5 pizzas from Little Caesars, and we eat that all the time. And we wonder why we don't see any changes in our body all the time we work out, because there's so many different aspects to seeing results, but not enough people that want to buy in and actually do it. They just want something that's gonna like make them do January to February. I lost 15 pounds and I'm
and then and they always think, oh, a lot of people think, okay, it's weight loss and how much weight did I lose, and just I need to go to the gym. But there's more to being healthy than just going to the gym. Going to the gym is great and doing your hour or half hour of exercise, but then the question is, what do you do for the rest of your day? Do you come home and then sit on the couch for the rest of the day? Because that's extremely unhealthy. You need to stand more, do like light types of activity, make sure that you're getting enough sleep. So your whole 24 hours and what you do matters. People think, oh, well, I went to the gym, so now I can, go and eat, Little Caesars and do whatever I want, and that's not the case.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean that's a whole different story. That's the Netflix and chill. That's a cardio component of that.
But I think you hit it on the head too, Brandon, when you said, and I think this is where we came up with our business and our journal. It's like we want to give people like, here, this is how you make the healthy steps. Here at this point, so you're 20 days in now. Okay, let's evaluate it. Let's look back. So people like to track stuff, right? And they write down what they're doing, but do they go back and actually look at what they're actually doing, what's working, what's not working, how do you tweak it, what do we need to switch up? But the big thing for me too, that you touched on, is people want to go all in.
Yeah.
They feel like the only way I can do it is 100%. I gotta do it all, and as soon as one piece slips, right? I always call it the 2-week honeymoon period. Like for 2 weeks they're gonna be on it, and then what's gonna happen? Kid's gonna get sick. They're gonna get a flat tire. They're gonna get bad news from one of their parents being sick. A bad day at work. Something's gonna throw them off, right? There's always gonna be something right in that 2 weeks, always. And then they're like, okay, now it's just not the time. Now it's not the time for me to do this. My life's not lining up, and I'm just like, when is your life going to line up? Like the only constant in your only constant in your life is busy.
Yeah.
Your constant is busy, so you have to figure out how busy, what kind of busy do you want to be busy at? Do you want to be busy, feeling stressed, tired, worn down, and like crap? Or do you want to be busy making time to do the things that's going to make you feel better, so all of the other busy stuff you do actually feels good and you show up to it well? Like that's the kind of busy I want anyway.
Yeah.
So what you need to start doing, like you were saying, is you've got to baby step it in. Okay, so I'm going to go 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And I have like 4 new moms that I'm working with right now, and I was like, we're just going to just 2 days a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just find, I don't care if all you do is stretch for 10 minutes. Just 2 days a week, we're gonna get you going. 2 days a week, you're gonna move your body. As soon as that baby falls asleep, you move. Like you get up and you stretch, or you walk in place, or I don't care what you do, stream a workout, whatever you do, just get up and move twice a week. That's our goal. And then anything on top of that is like, what? It's icing on the cake, because now you're crushing it. We said 2 days a week, you just did 3. Holy crap, look what you just did.
Yeah.
And that's
Pick a
amazing.
spin class or something. Find like a walking group. I know like a lot of neighborhoods like they do like a little walking group, whatever. Because one of my clients, she goes walking with like her and like her other like rest of her book club and like walking club. They go walking every Saturday.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, like you can find stuff like that, like spin classes, yoga, Pilates. Like if you work, like you could go to the gym twice a week, and then on Saturdays go to a yoga class. Like it's not gonna be like your shoulder's gonna burn, you get more flexible, but you're moving around.
Yeah.
So it's like even if you're not beating yourself up in the gym 3 days a week, you're staying active 3 days a week, and then the rest of it, like we had a standing desk class. Get a standing desk. Walk around. Get a dog. Like there's so many ways.
Best piece of exercise equipment is to get a
The
dog.
puppy's gonna be running around all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Like,
Plus, want to get a dog.
now dogs aren't cheap.
I was just saying, you might be better off going to the gym. That might be cheaper, but dogs are cute and they cuddle you when you're watching your Netflix and chilling, eating your Little Caesars.
Yeah. I know. So there's 2 different sides of like exercise psychology. I know people that don't work out. There's the body positive movement, and then there's people that do work out crazy, and then the body dysmorphia. So I wanted to like just ask a question because I see this like a lot of like powerlifters and bodybuilders. Like we work out like crazy, and we still look in the mirror and we're like, bro, we're fat pieces of shit. Like,
Did we not? We were just talking about this in class.
Yeah, so it's like
I was giving you and Joel a hard time.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, how does the psychology of like body dysmorphia work? Because I mean, I'm sure we both have it. Like,
oh yeah,
I look at myself in the mirror every morning, like, damn, you fat piece of shit, and then I go do my thing, and I come back, oh, you look kind
But
of.
then you have somebody tell you like, oh, you look good, you look different, you look changing. You're like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't feel it.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, I have so
it's kind of
much
like a
I
broad
wanna say,
question, but like, how does the psychology of like body dysmorphia work? Because I get it, but I don't.
Yeah, you know what, and it's complicated, and there's a lot of debate, a lot of debate about it, and we tend to think of exercise as a good thing and that more is better, right? But then there does come a point with anything, even if it's a good thing, that more is not better. Same thing with exercise, and we've looked into, can you become addicted to exercise?
Mm-hmm.
And its relationship to body image issues and potentially body dysmorphia, where somebody who will be extremely fit and really muscular and in great shape actually perceives that they're not, perceives that they're let's say they're too thin or their muscles aren't big enough. So they have this disconnect that goes on. And does it affect, a lot of people? No. We tend to be more concerned with those people who are not exercising, but people who are exercising too much is still a serious concern. I had interviewed, because I've done some research in it, one individual, for example, to kind of put it in context, had finished a marathon. When she finished that marathon, she said, I felt like I hadn't exercised enough, and kept exercising and kept running after completing a marathon. So the average person would be able to say, okay, this is a huge feat, they're done, they're going to take some time off. I had another individual who said it was becoming really expensive for him because he didn't want people to know how much he was exercising, so he bought 3 different gym memberships. In the morning he'd go to one gym, in the afternoon another, and then in the evening another gym, because he didn't want any of these gyms to actually know. And these are real issues that people are struggling with. One individual would go on a Stairmaster and would do 30 miles minimum on the Stairmaster. So these are real issues for these individuals, and it comes down to, okay, what is the driving factor? Sometimes it's this disconnect, right? This body dysmorphia that goes on, kind of potentially dealing with extreme anxiety. But we need to also take a look and potentially not praise those people that are exercising too much and say, okay, we need to bring it down to whatever that healthy level may be.
Amen.
And I would take it, well, my background's not psychology. I do work with a lot of people that go through these sort of things, right? Like you said, you wake up in the morning and you see yourself in the mirror, and then you have this like automatic knee-jerk response, something that you say when you see yourself. So a lot of times, I think sometimes, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's as simple as, because it is not simple to change the dialogue that goes on in your head. It definitely, that's like a whole nother kind of workout, right? But how do we change the way that we're actually talking to ourselves, the words that we're telling ourselves? So instead of when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm a fat piece of shit, like, what if you said, you know what, I'm a beast, like, look at me, I'm a beast, and there are people that would love to look this way. Like, I crushed it in the gym yesterday. What if you don't even say anything about the way you look, right? What if when you wake up in the morning, you're just like, dang, I crushed that workout yesterday. Like, and that's your first thought. So like, you start changing the first thing that you're saying, and little by little, and I say this because I used to do the same thing, and I still have to catch myself, right? Like, especially after I had kids, and I had a C-section. You guys will never have to deal with this, but you might marry somebody who does. When you have a C-section, you end up with we all call it the C-section shelf. So you have this really big scar, and then your skin just kind of sits on top of it, and so now you have this shelf where it won't level out. Like, it's just not going to level out. And so you can look at that and just be really hard on yourself. Like, oh my God, that is disgusting. I literally used to cry after I would shower, and I would look at my belly button, and I started calling it the bat cave, because my stomach was just so full. Yeah, it was miserable. So I get that perspective. Like, I understand talking to yourself that way, and it took me years of really just like turning around the things that I was saying to myself and changing what I was celebrating, right? So instead of celebrating, like, you obviously, when you call yourself a fat piece of shit, you're not celebrating, but you are. You're drawing attention to that, right? So that's where your mind goes. That's what you're focusing on. So I like to use the analogy sometimes. Like, think of it like ice cream, right? If you go to an ice cream shop, you're not going to be like, oh, I hate that flavor. I hate that flavor. That one's horrible. That one's gross. Like, you're not focused on all the ones you don't like.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's the one I like, or that one. Hey, can I sample those two because those are the two I can't decide.
That's a good analogy.
But if you look at your body, like, why are we not? Then why, when we look at our body, I'm full of these things.
Yeah.
Why that song is like, that is not okay. And my kids are singing this. Like, all right, I get it now. But
Is
like,
this common knowledge?
it is
Yeah.
for this
But
generation.
There's like cake, peach,
Peach
dump,
I'm
a dump
familiar
truck.
with, yeah. Peach I'm
Because you know like
familiar
dump
with.
trucks have the big
Back it up,
part.
back it up,
Yeah.
back it up.
Okay.
So you have a dump truck.
Yeah,
there's
I
a
know
lot of
those.
words.
Learning.
I think the dump truck and peach may have come up with my generation. Cake is the new one.
Yeah, cake's a new one.
Cake's new. But I think that if we just, if we treat, it's such a weird analogy, but if we treat ourselves like an ice cream shop, right? And we only say, you know, what we like,
I'm not using power.
then get the
Get
dairy
it
free.
I'm kidding.
Sorbet.
Yeah.
You're at a sorbet shop.
Oh, I haven't been
See,
there in a while.
there you go.
I used to like the Italian ice, like the little.
It's such a waste, I feel like.
I like it.
Give me the ice cream.
If I get the ice cream, I'll be in the bathroom for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
I have to pick and choose
I
my
used to
days.
be. I used to be. Yeah, I used to be.
That's bad. Oh,
Oh, I thought you.
I think it was done.
Okay, cool.
I actually have the topics that we were actually supposed to cover.
Oh, shit. All right. Let's do it.
Oh,
So-
let me. You pull those up, Brandon. Can I go inside? Is the store gonna?
Yes, you can go
Okay.
inside.
I gotta grab what you brought.
Oh, the props. We brought props.
Yeah, props,
Yeah,
okay.
we did. Yeah.
We brought you guys gifts.
Show and
Actually,
tell. Show
they're
and
not
tell.
just props. They're gifts.
You gotta read
Yeah,
those.
because we'll leave it with you.
I work
We'll
out.
take them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go at a weird angle in order to get them.
Got it. So these are for you guys.
You can sign them too.
Oh, we should. Yeah, we should. I mean, only if you want us to.
Sweat Step Stand is.
Is this a journal? Is this a journal?
This is our journal.
Oh, nice.
Based in
Journal.
science, based in not like so many journals where it's just like everything's on the same page and now you don't know what to do with this information. This is like,
This is sick.
these are the things you should be doing in a 24-hour day. Let's take a look at where you are, how you can make
This
changes.
is sick. You guys sell these?
Yes,
Yep.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
they're $7.
Okay, because I wanted to get some for my clients too. Cause I
No,
have,
but that's exactly what we were
Yeah,
saying. We need to talk to
because-
trainers. Like, this is a really great way for you to see what
Because-
they're doing when
yeah.
they're not with you.
I made them all like they all have some kind of Google sheet or something to track it to, but they actually have like a physical book. 'Cause I was looking at Amazon for something, so like hey, like so if you have your book, you check it. So you guys sell them on Amazon, or you sell them
Yeah.
directly?
Sell them on Amazon.
Sell 'em on
Amazon.
Directly to your
Yeah.
house from Amazon.
Is it Prime?
This is actually really
Yes,
sick.
it is. If you have Prime, it's Prime.
I might actually buy some.
Yeah.
So the beauty,
Oh, nice. That's sick.
well,
Look
what
at
we
that.
think is one of the
Who'd thought?
beauties behind this, but there's many, is that we've taken the latest science and put it into this guided journal to help people become healthy and make it really
Yeah.
easy and
Right.
guide them through it. So we just didn't pull stuff out from anywhere. This is the latest science broken down, digestible,
50 of these.
to get people to
Do it.
I'm about
to
to.
They're
become
so
really
cheap.
to
Yeah.
move
They
more.
really are.
It goes
Yeah.
straight. It goes straight to you guys,
Yes.
right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The thing is, stuff like this
Look
is,
at that.
is like this actually like gives you like the instant gratification because the thing is everybody wants
Ooh,
to see.
I want that to be a new word, gratisfaction.
Yeah, that's the biggest
Oh.
thing. It's the only word. I
Did
can
you make
think
that
of.
up? Or you,
I don't know.
I think I think he was trying to say instant satisfaction, and
I was trying to say like
gratification.
gratification. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like gratisfaction. I think that's our new word, Brandon. I love it.
So the thing, because like we said earlier, everybody wants to see results. They want to see results now. So it's like if they have someone to actually look, they're like, oh, I did better than yesterday. So it's like they can't physically see their body doing better, but they can see throughout the papers. Like, oh, I slept. Let's say, because some people they only get 4 hours sleep. Oh, I slept 5 hours yesterday, or I did this yesterday. It's like, okay, I'm getting better. So,
Right.
I love this.
Especially
I love
like journals
this.
like this, so people can actually see it versus looking in the mirror and being like, oh my god, I still have this, or I still have this, or they look at the scale and they don't notice that the scale varies with body mass, with and all that stuff. They can see things day by day.
Right.
But I'm getting better in life. Like, it's not just doing this.
I think it's definitely good for the girls too, because like all my guys, like when they're like working out, like oh yeah, like guys are a little more simple.
Guys help each other up more.
Yeah,
way more than girls.
yeah.
Like if you go to a gym, you see like I don't know why, but like you go to like any like gym, whatever, like you see girls like this. I feel like it's always like a competition. It's like who looks better, but guys, you gonna see guys.
I would say the opposite from a girl's perspective.
You see,
but I think it depends on the kind of the gym though that you're in. I think it depends on the atmosphere.
I was gonna say like
because
a
I know
commercial
like
gym might be the opposite. Like it might be the guys.
most guys walk up to you like, bro, you look big today, but bro, I'm trying to get like you, bro. Like, bro, I'm trying to get like you.
Yeah.
You're done. Like, it's always like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I see like, especially like on social media, like I see there's just so much shade getting thrown with like how your body looks and everything. So I don't know.
I think it depends on person too, because I know like most like at our gym, like we're all like super close to smaller. The guys are pretty supportive. There's less girls, so like most commercial gyms, most girls will kind of like stick together too. So it depends like who and like what gym you're at too. Like, we're all boys, so we can always like.
It's all situational.
I'll also say that a lot. Typically, boys do not like to get fitness input from girls, especially if they don't know that.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like ego, gym ego. We talk about it in that class that you took with me. Like there's gym ego. Like I can tell you more often than not. I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10 when I used to do personal training in a gym. If I went up to a guy, I would make sure to say, hey, you know, my background's exercise science. I was just watching you do your workout. I'd like to give you a little tweak if it's cool that might help you either avoid injury or maybe pump that muscle up a little more, whatever. And they'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
And then I give it to them, and they're like, thanks. And then I walk away, and they go right back to doing whatever they were doing. And they're like, who are you, little girl? You don't know. And I'm like, but I kind of do know.
Yeah.
But
and it also depends on the atmosphere too. Cause I know like, I know like a lot of people at. Well, that's why I can't work out LA Fitness anymore, because I saw like a group of, it was like 2 guys, like their girlfriends were doing like RDLs together, and I was like, that looks so bad. But it's like, at that point, like people don't like to be approached in the gym, so it's like, and people, especially like if a guy's with a girl.
Oh yeah, no, I never did that. I never did that. I never did that.
Like no one wants to seem like inferior, like they don't know.
Or like they don't know what they're doing, right?
So like he was teaching his girlfriend how to do like an RDL, and I was like, she's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Like she had the cat back and everything. He was like, make sure you do this, and I was just like next to him, my earphones, and I was like, I want to help, but it's not my place. But it's like, so that's why a lot of people they say like don't correct people in the gym, but I feel like it's situational. Like if you pull someone off to the side, but hey, dude, like.
Well, most of the people at our gym too, like I feel like the more advanced you get, the more open you are to advice. Like people starting out.
Powerlifting gym.
Yeah, because
so it's like everyone's powerlifting, and the majority of people, like we're all, the majority of us are coaches. Yeah. Like, it's me, you, Adolfo's a coach. Like we know what we're doing.
We can all listen. You know? Like most people, like the newer guys, especially, they're not going to be open to like listening to.
Well, and sometimes even like if I work out at JU, I'm like I just gotta keep my eyes down.
That's what you
and I saw a guy training a girl one day, and he was clearly training her like they weren't boyfriend girlfriend, and so I just waited until like they were done, and I was like, hey man, I watched you training her. I was like, are you a personal trainer or whatever? And he's like, well, I'm working on my certification. And I was like, can I give you a few tips? Would you be cool with that? And I think it's different because he knew I was a teacher. I was in there with my class ahead of time, so he saw me teaching my class and everything else. So I think that kind of changed perspective, and he was like, oh my gosh, thanks so much. That was great. You know, like that'll help a lot. So I think a lot of it depends, but like I definitely wasn't going to approach him while he was working with her, because that would have been talking about throwing shade. You know what I mean? Like that would not have been the way to do that.
Yeah. What's the next question?
Oh, so the question we were talking, so simple steps to start building a healthy lifestyle and how journals can help. We slightly touched on the journals. Can you guys explain more, like how did you guys come up with this idea? Like what, like?
Because your whole background is exercise science too. So I was looking at the first page, like a lot of stuff. I'm sure it's the same for yours too, like the 150 minutes, all that stuff too.
Well, a lot of this is based on the 24-hour movement research that's out there that's being pushed in Canada and Australia. Yeah. I'll let you run with that.
Yeah, so our whole goal is to try to get people to be healthier. Good health, like as I said, is hard. How can we make it simpler? And the science is really clear, like these types of guided journals help people. They really do. People need some type of guidance. So Mandy and I, during COVID actually, every week we meet up at a different park, somewhere around, Jacksonville, and we go out for a hike. And we were kind of trying to generate ideas about how we can get people to be healthier. And I said, okay, there's now these new guidelines coming out for movement, saying that your whole 24 hours matters for how much you move, from how much you exercise, to how much you stand, to how much you sit, to like just light activity, walking, even like doing chores around the house, and how much you sleep. They're all related. So I said, let's create something for people based on the latest science, make it digestible for them, easy for them, and put it into this guided journal format so that they can track every single day what they're doing, hopefully see improvements, and then we pull it back to kind of this evidence-based health. So that was really kind of what we did, and we spent a lot of time trying to create this, trying to make it easy for people to understand with the goal that they're going to move more during the day and sleep better at night, and then ultimately be healthier.
That's awesome. I know, like, especially the girls too. I didn't mean to cut you off too.
Oh no, that's fine. We both went at the same time. You're good.
My guys are pretty easy, kind of like, hey, like they just want to go work out too. The girls, it's been the hardest part explaining, hey, like, yeah, like I see you like 3 times a week spread out, but you gotta like, and you're on, I need you to go for a walk. I need you to not sit down the entire time. The hardest part is I'm trying to tell them that because they think they pay this amount of money, they come here, that's gonna be all it is, you know? It's hard saying, yeah, I know that you pay and you come here, but I need you to do all this other stuff on your own too. And it's hard to get, like, it's hard for people to be like, yeah, well, I'm not going to, you know?
You have to be accountable. You give them the homework and say, okay, do this, and then bring it back when you come to see me, and let's see how you did, what we can tweak, and how we can improve it.
And that's why we have every 20 days we have a check-in. So like at day 20, we're like, okay, you just finished 20 days. Look back. How are you sitting? What did you do better? What got better? What can you tweak now moving forward in the next 20 days? And that's why we made the journal 60 days. So it's like, okay, you have 20 days, let's work on this. But, and a lot of the science used to say, well, I don't even know if there was science on it. This is what people said, right? Like 21 days to make a habit. Well, what we really found out is it's like 60 plus days, a lot of it depends on the person, to actually make a habit that's going to stick. So that's why we went with 60 days. Brandon knows because I was talking about the coming of this journal a lot. Like, I was like, oh, it's coming out. We're going to do it next week. And then I'm like, it's not coming out. We found some more things that we need to tweak. You know, like we were just, this went to the drawing board so many times because we wanted to get it right. And I'll say I'm a bear. I'm like more like a bear or a bull in a china shop. And I'm like, let's just go. And then Heather over here's like, well, maybe we should. And I'm like, okay, she's right. She's right.
Yeah. And that's, we wanted to make it, as I said, just easy for people. And like Mandy was saying, we chose 60 days where people track their movement, not because we just thought 60 days is the way to go. It's because that's what the science says. On average, it takes people about 66 days.
But that's a weird number for a journal.
So we went to 60 days. So everything in here is just based on research that has been done, but we've made it into like a format that ultimately we want people to move more. And this is an easy, simple way. It only takes a couple minutes each day to track everything. You know, how much did you sweat? So how much vigorous, or moderate exercise did you get? How much did you stand during the day? How much did you sit? And how are you sleeping? And then set goals, because we know that goals and setting goals are so motivational for people. So we have a little, place in there as well, and then people can look back and reflect.
And I love the simplicity of it, because like even like Dr. White used to say this all the time, like because he taught like biomechanics. He's like, spoon feed the baby.
Yeah.
He was like, no, like, you're not gonna be working at a normal gym and you can't go out there and start talking about the different systems and different muscles. They're gonna look at you like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? So like, this is a great way to spoon feed the baby and just be like, here you go. Because like when people try to do research, they type it on Google. They got all these research articles. Majority of people don't know how to read research articles.
No.
They see all these graphs, they see all this stuff, and they're like, okay, that's too much. Like, So if you give them something like this, it's just like, hey, how do you feel today on the RPE scale 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like this is how my emotions feel, and it's like, okay, now let's do it every single day. People, they react better to that because they don't feel like they're stupid. And that's Dr. White says, like, you don't want to make people feel like they're inferior to you. You don't want to make them feel stupid, because then they start double thinking, then they might get mad. So you have to give them a way to where they can understand and they can like put it into practice. That's that's the biggest thing about like having graduated from college. Like, yeah, you pay for all these, like you say, we pay for all these big words, you pay for all the journals and stuff, but if you can't relay it to someone else, especially in our field, how are you going to succeed? That's why you get like those people that have straight A's and don't get a job because they can't socialize, they can't explain.
They can't break it down.
They can't explain to like the average Joe why we need to do this. They know the research, they know what the textbook says, but they don't know how to relate to people.
Right.
That's why those people they do their research, do research articles and stuff, versus actually getting into physical therapy and working with someone that just blew out their hip and they're trying to learn how to walk again. You can't be like, oh, we have to rebuild this tendon, rebuild that. They're gonna be like, okay, so how can I get back to my sport?
Right.
Like, what do I have to do? And it's like, so that's why this is perfect for general population, for basically anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's just so easy. Like, just looking through the pages, like, it's just
even just the
smiley faces and everything. It's like, I feel like this today.
Yeah,
like,
this is my face today when I woke up.
You give it to a 5-year-old or give it to a 40-year-old, they'll all love it.
And as far as like when you say like spoon feed the baby, which White does say that a lot, that's what we did in the beginning. We're like, how can we just give give them this information in like the most straightforward format. So like, okay, so yeah, you've got this journal. Here's why we want you to keep track of this stuff. Here's how much of these things you should be doing. Like we made a point to add resistance training in there because you should be doing that a couple times a week. But so, and then in there, we're like, okay, so you moved today. As you were exercising, how much did you exercise? And was any of that resistance training? And we know now too with science that resistance training piece is super important, right? Especially as we age and we look at how the body right around 30, which is super young, it feels like you're like things are gonna start like, you know, you're gonna start losing muscle mass. You're gonna so if you don't, bone density, all of it, right?
Osteoporosis at an old age, like just without like resistance training, because like I said, one of my clients, she had osteoporosis. She's like in her 60s. And like ever since she started working out, like I mean, her bone density didn't get better, but it
she
stayed
slowed
the same.
it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it counteracts it, right? So she basically just hit the pause button.
Yeah.
On her quality of life with her being able to slow that down.
And just doing weight bearing, like weight bearing, you don't have to back squat 500 pounds.
No,
like,
and probably shouldn't.
No.
like, do some goblet squat, do some bicep curls, just do something that's more than your body weight.
Do some modified push-ups.
Yeah,
right? Like
you just have to do something, and people they don't understand that something that simple can change so much in your body because your body's just like, oh my gosh, like give it to me, like it's like eating better, like your body's like, ooh, nutrients, like I don't have to hold on to this extra fat because I'm actually getting this, so I can actually burn this off and use it for energy.
Yes, we talked about that in a few of our classes too.
And people they like, especially like with weight, people they wonder why they're not losing weight, and they're like,
how much are you eating?
Yeah, and then a lot of people they either go to one side of the spectrum, like, they'll cut out all calories and eat like a guy like us would eat 1,000 calories and be like, okay, but now your body's in starvation mode.
Right.
So now you're holding on to all this shit and it's like, oh, I'm not losing any weight, I feel weak. I'm like, because you're not feeding your body nutrients. They're like, yeah, but doesn't calories make you gain weight? I'm like, not if you use it the right way. Your body knows how to use it.
It takes
like,
what, 1,200 calories of my numbers, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it's just 1,200 calories just to stay alive. Like just for your body to do the things to keep you alive takes 1,200 calories. So when I talk to people, they're like, well, I'm eating 900 calories a day. I'm like, how are you alive right now? Like, how are we having this conversation? How are you coherent? Like, it's not gonna last long because you're gonna burn off that stored stuff soon and you're gonna tank. Like, we need to, you're gonna start losing more weight if you actually give your metabolism a job to do to burn off what you're trying to get rid of, because it's like, oh, I need to use this now because more food's coming in.
And that's another reason I hate the scale. I hate/love the scale. Because people that know how to use a weight scale, they do really well. They're like, okay, like I look better in the mirror, I'm still the same weight, so my body composition is changing. A lot of people though, when they step on the scale, they're like, I gained 3 pounds this week. Like, I'm doing everything right, but muscle weighs more than fat. Like you, I mean, but
it's the same, right? Pound of lead, pound of feathers.
I mean, yes, but
you lose one slower.
It depends on how the teeter-totter is. So it's like people that like they see it, like let's say I'm 240. I weigh at a calorie deficit, but I've been lifting super hard, and I weigh in 2 weeks later, I'm still 240, but I look at myself in the mirror and it's like I look better.
It's all the pictures coming to help too.
Yes,
and
I tell people, I'm like, look, you don't have to show them to me, I don't have to see them, just take them. Because in 3 weeks, your scale may not change, but your body's going to change if you do the right things, and then you'll see it. But if you're going to be watching it so slow, you're not even going to notice it. The only way you might notice it without a picture is if you go to that one pair of jeans or that one dress that you've been avoiding in the back of the closet, and then you put it on, you're like, oh, holy shit, like it's feeling so right. Where'd my muffin top go? Yes.
I tell most of the girls too. We do like monthly pictures, kind of update. We try to go a little more like bi-weekly, but people just don't want to do that. So I was like, let's do monthly. Most of them don't want to show me, but hey, like, even if you want to show me, look at it like close, you know? Because if I look at it, I can show you like, hey, like right here, it's a little bit different, you know? After 4 weeks, like this line, the stomach's kind of moving down a little bit. It's a little bit more curved how you want, you know? It's always cool to see it. They didn't realize, I'm like, oh, well, you stayed about 140, but look at these pictures, you're changing how you want to change. You know? It's always awesome to see.
When I have a client, just today, we were chatting this morning, and she's like, she was telling me how at first she was doing one workout that was about 21 days, and she couldn't stick with it. And I was like, look, I think you gotta try something else. Like, we gotta mix this up, because clearly this isn't working for you. So we shifted her to another program. It was an 8-week program. She's like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm like, you just do it. You just show up and you do it. And it was just way more her jam and way more her style. And so she's like, I just finished 8 weeks. She's like, I didn't lose any weight, but, and I love that she added the but. She's like, but I'm stronger and I have way less pain in my body now. And I'm
That's
like,
huge.
that's
That's huge.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
that's it right there. I said, thank you so much. Okay, good. You can acknowledge this piece, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you to ignore it or avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, if that part is still there, then there's some things clearly that we need to tweak.
Yeah.
But your body's moving without pain now. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine how great your quality of life is now on
Exactly,
the day to day?
yeah.
Because when you stand up or you bend over, you're doing something. You're not like,
Yeah.
You're just moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
with the actually, I trained his girlfriend's mom, so it's kind of a weird story. But yeah. Oh, I didn't know.
She goes to UNF. Yeah, she's not a JU person.
That's still.
Yeah.
I
You
feel like I should have seen her on social. Maybe
Yeah.
I just missed those posts.
He didn't post it yet.
Not just that, I have the older posts,
Ah, okay.
but it's on my other Instagram.
Your main one.
Yeah, it's on. I don't use my main one. I don't.
Okay.
Okay, but even his mom,
Yeah,
she,
I don't
like,
follow your main
as she
one.
gets older too, she's a little bit older, like 60 or getting close to 62. But even the first like month or two,
She's
was
not a year over 21. Stop.
Okay, I'm sorry. Forever 21.
That's where the story came from.
You can edit that part out if you want to see that. You're so annoying. Even after like the first 2 months, she wasn't losing that much weight. It was a slower process too. But I was like,
And
oh.
as you age, it is a slower process.
Yeah, and then she was like, oh, actually, well, like now I can actually get up get on the floor easier. I can play the grandkids. My back doesn't hurt as much. I was like, you don't realize that's actually a big W right there. Yeah, you have to kind of listen. It's not all gonna be just pure just weight
Yeah.
going off too. Like you actually move better. You're happier. You're not as sore when you get out of bed.
Are you
Like
sleeping better?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Do you have more energy?
Are you taking less trips to bring your groceries in? Like this was the funniest, most happiest moment like I've had training. The one that had osteoporosis, she came up to me, she was excited. She was like, hey, guess what? And I was like, what? She was like, I made one trip of my groceries yesterday. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, like the bicep curls, like, my arms didn't hurt. I just carried everything in. And I was like, nice. She was like, yeah, I used to have to go back and forth like 4 or 5 times. And I did it all by myself. My son didn't have to help me. And I was like, look at you.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
It's
Those
just like-
are the things.
It's like small
that's,
things like that. It's just
Yeah.
like,
God, that's
They're
the
big,
stuff.
yeah, but they're big things. You guys bring up a super point, great point that we think that health is related to how much weight you lose, right?
Yeah.
And your weight loss, and that was we were specific in this drill. We don't include anything about weight.
Mhm.
This is about movement, and
Yeah.
if you're moving more, you're going to be healthier, and the weight's going to be kind of this byproduct that's going
Yeah.
to take care of itself. But we didn't want people to focus on that. Focus
Yeah.
on the movement.
That's awesome. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, most of the girls I have, like, their weight will fluctuate day by day. I'm like, hey, like, well, you know, you had water, you ate today, your weight's not gonna
Yeah.
always.
And you're a girl. Where
Yeah.
and what's your moon cycle saying right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't call it a moon cycle, but some people do. Where are you in your 28 days?
did you have French fries yesterday? You might be bloated from sodium.
Or Chinese food,
Yeah,
right?
it's like small
Yeah.
things like that will
Yes.
make your weight change. I could gain 4 pounds in one night from just because I had
Went out and had Mexican and margaritas? But
Yeah.
You
forget
gain like 10
about it.
pounds after your weigh-ins.
Yeah, after my
Yeah.
meet, like I weighed into my meet at what 229. I'm back to 241 right now, and the meet was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
weight changes so much, and people they don't
Well, and
understand that.
stress too. Like people
Stress,
discount
yeah.
stress and how
Travel.
they're sleeping. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of it.
There's just so many
There's
things
so
that go
many
into
things.
fitness.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
like-
yeah.
So if you guys had any advice to give to anyone that's basically just trying, like from a mental standpoint, anyone who's just trying to stay focused on their goals and just not going off trail, because most of the time that's what happens. They get like the mental part's a big part of it too. Like they sit there and they get discouraged and sad and have anxiety. You guys have any cues or anything just to like put into in order to keep your mental state higher? What would you guys say? Like just keeping you stuff like going.
I think, you know, and that's the thing, we give up so easily, right? And that's why with this type of a journal, it will keep people, it will make them accountable. And it's okay to miss a day or two. We're human. Things are going to happen, but pick it back up and get back into it and start doing it. We're going to have a lot of, you know, setbacks, you know, people may say failures. That's okay. We're not perfect, but for the most part, you want to keep moving. And I think people forget how critical their sleep is. And if you do not sleep well, the next day, guaranteed, you're not going to eat as well, because your body, actually, from a hormone standpoint, is going to crave the unhealthy foods. You're probably not going to move as much because you're going to be tired. You're going to be in a worse mood. So if there's one thing I can tell people, try to get your sleep, and then your day, the following day will be so much better for you, because it's one of the first things that we give up, right? Saying that, oh, I've got too much to do. Okay, I'm gonna stay up like an extra hour or two later. That's gonna be detrimental your next day. It's not worth it. You're even more likely to get sick, more likely to get a cold, the flu,
COVID.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID.
We're gonna throw it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, give me the hammer. I'll hit the nail.
I know you will.
Yeah.
Art, were you done though? I totally interrupted you.
Me? I'm done.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
what I will add to that is you need to you guys are coaches, right? So if you use this, they will have somebody that will help them stick to it and stay accountable. You need somebody that's going to help you stay accountable. You need to get a coach. Have a friend that's going to do it with you. I haven't told you this,
that's good.
but I've
That's
started
good.
sharing it on social. That anybody that gets the journal for free, I'm putting together a messenger chat on Facebook for anybody that has the journal, so that we can kind of have like this little accountability thread going with me, so that
Smart.
I can answer
Yeah.
questions and keep you accountable and check in with you during the week and what did you notice and these sorts of things. So that's like a small little accountability piece. So like for $7 you're gonna get this journal, but then you're also gonna get me.
What more do you
I
want?
mean, I'm definitely worth more than $7, but I'm just saying. In general, it is. I think that accountability piece is huge. And then you touched on failure, and I think, Brandon, you know I say this all the time as a teacher. You should be failing, and you should be making mistakes. Like if you have a day where you didn't make a mistake, like did you even get out of bed? And if you didn't, then that was your mistake that
Good quote
day.
right there. We got a bookmark that.
But
What was it?
you need to be making mistakes every day, because that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
So you pick up your journal and you miss a day, or you had a bad day. Okay, excellent, because now you're gonna learn what led to this. How did you make this mistake? Why did you make this mistake? So now you know, okay, this is what made me make this mistake, so tomorrow I'm gonna do it this way. Or, next week when a Monday rolls around and I notice that every Monday this is where I fall off and this is why. Okay, well now my Monday mistake is this, how do I fix it? How do I tweak it? And I say the same thing to my kids. Like, I'm like, what mistakes did you guys make today? So like at dinner a lot of times we talk about the mistakes they made and how they can, why and how they can do it better. And then, I say it in class all the time, like, one of my biggest pet peeves is you're in college and people will be like, I have a stupid question. I'm like, no you don't. Like that's why you're here.
Yes.
This is why you're here. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be learning. Like it's not a stupid question. This is the point. So I guarantee you, anybody else in the class, I guarantee you right now, there's somebody else in the class that has the exact same question. They just weren't ready to raise their hand for it. So now we're all going to get the answer. It's not a stupid question. We're here to learn. So this is why you make your mistakes, why you move forward. You got to fail. Like everybody has to fail. You have to fail, and you have to be okay with that.
You see, why aren't they teaching this stuff in high school? Bro, in high school, you're sitting there learning the Pythagorean theorem and stuff versus learning stuff that's good for life. Because talking with my roommate, he's super good at money and stuff. So we talk about like how to handle your money and how to actually spend money, actually have a good life going forward. And none of that stuff is talked about in high school.
They used to.
No.
It was called home economics.
We had that in middle school.
I remember home
Yeah.
economics, and I learned so much in that class, and they don't teach it anymore.
We had that in middle school, but it was like how to sew and how to cook a little bit. It wasn't like.
Oh, but they
like-
didn't talk about the economics of the home, like how to
No,
budget
no.
your money to buy groceries and those sorts
Yeah.
of things.
They don't
They
talk-
did in my home economics anyway.
Yeah, like now
But I
in high
think I'm a
school,
little older
they don't
than-
talk about physical
Just
activity.
a little bit.
They don't go into depth about physical activity. They don't talk about how to manage your money. They don't talk about the things you're actually gonna
Life.
need outside
Yes.
outside of school. But they're so focused on getting you to know y equals mx plus b.
Because you gotta
Or-
pass the state test, Brandon.
But it's like, who cares about the state test if you're gonna end up on the street anyway? Like, okay, I had straight A's in high school. I lived under the underpass. I spent all my money my first year
Yeah.
actually working. Like, people don't. There's
Yeah.
so many things that needs to be focused on when you're growing up, because that's when your brain's still developing and you're still sucking stuff versus being older and trying to learn it later because it's gonna take longer for you to learn it. Like, get them while they're young.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't understand. Like, even like taking out people that don't focus on PE anymore. And it's like,
And then we
okay.
wanted to sit still to learn the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, and so that's
Good
what's
luck.
like.
Good luck.
Ugh.
And it's just
Yeah.
like so many things that they don't prioritize in
Yeah.
this schooling system that has to do with actually being healthy and actually being wealthy in life. They're so focused on the test grades and so focused on passing the SATs that it's like, okay, yeah, great, you passed the SAT, great, you did this. Okay, now what?
Right.
You have this piece of paper, you have this diploma hanging up. Now
Right.
what are you gonna do? Like, you're making this money. How are you gonna spend it?
Right.
You just got 3 new cars, you're trying to pay them off, and now you're living out of your nice ass car.
Right.
Like, oh, great for you.
Lizzo did that.
Yeah, like great for you. You have a 2021 Escalade that you're living out of now because you spent all your money on it.
At
Like,
least it's a big one.
At least it's a big one. Yeah, at least they're not living
It's
like
better than a
convertible.
Sentra
Yeah.
or like a VW Bug.
It just baffles me the importance of things that aren't important.
I could go
like,
on
in the
for
school
hours
system.
on,
It's
on
just
that
so
topic
stupid.
alone. On that topic alone, I could go on for hours.
It's just so
hours
bad.
and hours. And that's why for me, I like to talk. That's why I go. That's why I go on my rants sometimes in class, because I'm like, nobody's teaching this. Like, nobody learns this. There's no leadership learning. There's no learning how to be a leader in your life and in other areas of your life, and how that transcends into all the parts of your life. How we all dangle the carrot of success out here. Okay, so you graduated high school, you passed the SATs. Now your next area of success is college. But when do we get to focus on where we are right now, how what we're doing right now is beneficial to us, and how that is going to have a ripple effect all the way through? Like, if success is always here.
Good point. You're talking about like success, like workout-wise, health-wise, or just like
Name it,
Yeah,
right?
everything.
Success in life, success in a family, success in how much money
Yeah.
you're supposed to make, success in your workout, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you can't see where you are right now, and that the person that you are right now, like, we go back to taking ownership, right? If we can't see, like, this is the person I am right now, I own this person, and this person is going to make a change. And the person that's deciding to make a change wherever you are, however unhealthy you are, however broke you are, however whatever you are that isn't making you happy, that's finally the catalyst to making you make change, that person, that's the person that you need to realize was successful. Because that's the one that had to make the hard choice. Not the one over here. This is the one that had to make the choice to start turning the wheel in the other direction to get you to this place. So you have to realize, like, once you decide to start taking ownership, that's success. Like, you're like, okay, now I'm going to start moving the chains, right? So I'm going to start moving the chains yard by yard. I'm going to get to the end zone, and I'm going to start making these changes. So, but every success, right? Like we talked about, like, that's a huge success, and she was able to own it, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was able to take her groceries in on her own,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your clients, you're helping them understand, like, hey, you may not see the changes, but look, you have a little less muffin top right here. You have a little less back hanging over the back of your shorts. Like, for me, I pointed out to someone, like, hey, you have a little less of that shelf. Do you see it? And she was like, oh my gosh, I do now. Because we look at the wrong things, right? We look at the wrong flavors of ice cream.
Yeah.
So when we start noticing our successes, and we can celebrate, like, hey, I was in a crappy place. My life sucked. It was horrible. But that person that was in the suck realized that I was in the suck and owned it and decided to make a change. And that right there is your first success in you being a leader in your life. It's your first step moving forward. So we have to focus here, see what's here, know where you want to go, but celebrate the whole, all the bits and pieces along the way, all the failures, all the things you learn, all the things you overcome. It's like that's for me. I'm like, we have to celebrate the failures, because when you fail, that means you're actually trying something. You're actually doing something.
Yeah.
You're not failing. Then what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
So what you gotta say?
I know. I'm trying so hard. Yes, I did.
What the frick?
I do it a lot, but I'm like, I'm so used to my social media because so many of my people watch my stuff with kids in the background.
Oh,
So, like,
yeah,
I always
careful.
temper it.
Yeah.
I temper it.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's such a great point, because nobody sets short-term goals anymore. Everyone sees where, like, everyone has like a 5-year plan. They're like, okay, like, in 5 years I want to be the best coach in Jacksonville, but they don't see okay, how am I gonna get there?
Right.
Like, what short-term goals am I gonna set for myself in order so I can do that?
Right.
Like, everyone wants to graduate college. Everyone wants to go get a doctorate. Everyone wants to go do this, They don't focus on, okay, if I've gotten a couple hours, I've gotten a couple shadowing hours, now it's gonna look better on my resume.
Right.
I'm learning different things. They don't focus on the small things. They focus on what they want to do, and then when they get there, they're like, "Oh shit, I forgot to do this, or I didn't do this." Not like these people are so ahead of me.
Right.
It's like, set short-term goals so you're better off reaching your long-term goals. So it's just not a dream.
Right.
It's actually attainable.
Right. And be realistic too. Like, I'm gonna call you out in a positive way, here. But I think a lot of times too, we're like, okay, well, the only way I can be successful is if I hit an A. And a lot of times in class, I talk about that. I'm like, you don't have to have an A. Did you get a B? Because I guarantee you, in a job interview, not a single person is going to ask you what your GPA was or what grade you got in chemistry.
No. Yeah.
Nobody's going to give a crap. So, and I remember you specifically, I emailed you about an assignment that you had missed. And I was like, Brandon, you missed this assignment. I just want to make sure you don't usually miss assignments. And you were like, I know, I calculated my grade and I realized I didn't really need it for the class. And I was like, that's so smart though, because that's efficient use of your time.
I was less stressed.
But that was smart. You're like, you know what? I don't need to do this.
That's crazy. I never had one of my UNF professors say that to me.
Yeah.
Never have one say, "Oh, good job, you didn't do it."
No, exactly. I literally emailed him back. I was like, that was so smart. You you removed that as a worry because you didn't need it, and you focused on what needed to be done. That didn't need to be done, so you were able to remove it and move on. And I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, that's so grown up.
I'm a very blunt person, so I'll tell you straight up, like, I was
so proud. I was so proud of you. I was like, I've never been so proud of somebody not doing an assignment, but I was like, right there.
That's why, even when I talk to like some of my friends and stuff, like they're all like stressing out and everything. Like everyone's like, dude, how are you always so like chill and stuff? I'm like, you just gotta weigh your options.
Yes.
Like we talk about multitasking. It's like everyone's trying to do 5 different assignments at the same time. They cram them. Oh my God, so they're stressing out. It's like listen, like okay, Monday and Tuesday I'm gonna do this project.
Yes.
And then Wednesday and Thursday, like figure out what days they're due, and then just schedule them depending on that.
Yeah.
Like, I had a group project that I already showed up for, and like everybody in my group's freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, like we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this. And I showed up, and I showed like 2 minutes late because I was like traffic. And I literally looked at it, I was like, what do you have to do? Like, why is everybody freaking out? And they're like, oh, like we have to make this nutrition diet. I was like, look at the rubric. She just asked for this. Why are you guys trying to do like you guys are overthinking it. She literally said word for word, this is what I want. And they're like, is that simple? I was like, yeah, it can't be that simple. And I was like, it's on the rubric, so why wouldn't it be? And so they're like, oh, it makes a lot of sense. And we sent it to her, and she was like, oh, this is great. And they're like, wow. And I was like, yeah, dude,
you followed the directions.
Yeah, it literally says, it's like rubric, like in order to get 5 points on this, do this, this, and this. It didn't say do this, and then a little exclamation point. Oh, and also do all this. It's like, no, just do this. So
I feel like I said, I'm like, you guys, I feel like you're overthinking it, man. Like, what did I ask for? Everybody wants it to be so complicated. Yeah, and I'm like, never once have I tricked any of you. Even, like, some of you have had me for 4 years. There's never been a time where I like gave you an assignment and I was like, keep it simple, and then you turned it in and I was like, never mind. I wanted you to blow it up. It needed to be huge.
Yeah, Dr. Hollenball's like, it's a psychology thing. I know it is. She's trying to trick us.
That's what I say. You guys can come up with something perfect on your, take-home funnel if you follow the rubric that I gave. Just follow it. And if you follow it, then
I don't do rubrics, which it used to drive them crazy. But I'm like, here's the directions. That's the same thing as a rubric. Just follow the directions.
Here's the keys. Just start the car.
Yeah.
Like,
but how do I start the car? Do I need to shake the keys a few times and then like jiggle the handle a few times? And I'm like, no. You just put it in and turn the ignition. And that's it.
It's because like. That's why I love group projects. That everyone looks like you said it before. I look like I'm not paying attention, but I actually like everyone. Like, I walk into the group and
he does. And I called you out. Well, I didn't call you. I don't like to call people out in class. So like, what did I do? Like the day that I learned about you, how much you were really learning. It was sophomore and freshman year. You were in like the beginning kin classes, and I was like, in my head, like, because I've been teaching for a really long time, so in my head I'm like, Brandon's not paying attention. How do I get him back into the conversation? And so I would look. I'm like, okay. And so what I do, and this is what I did to you that day. I was like, so Brandon, what are some examples that you have over, whatever it was that we were just talking about? And you're just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, okay. And I owned it, right? Like in class that day, I was like, okay, I thought you weren't paying attention, but you nailed it. You were like totally on it. So my bad, Brandon. And I was like, good on you, bad on me.
There's been so many group projects that I walked into, and they're like, oh, he's not gonna do anything. And I'm just there sitting there like this. I'm just like, I already finished my part. They look at them, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I just look like I don't pay attention.
Yeah. It's true. I love it.
He's literally usually, like one of the smartest kids in the room, if not the smartest kid in the room every time. Every time.
Aww. That has to be a little big. A low-key teacher's pet that nobody knows.
No. Well, they will now if they listen to this.
If anybody watches the podcast.
Yeah. Although I would say your class that you're in right now, I love everybody in that class.
Oh yeah.
That's just such a solid group.
Yeah.
Your 317 class though, there were some people in that class that made my life interesting. I'll just leave it at that. If they ever watch it, they'll know. Oh, what are they going to do?
They're going to fight you.
Fire me? You can edit that out or leave it in. I don't care.
I'll leave it in. We both made the
This is
joke.
getting real now.
Nobody's gonna watch to this far anyway, so it'll be okay.
Good point.
Like
You
two
never
people
know.
over the
Never
phone.
know.
You got any other good questions?
I'm all questioned out.
Oh shit.
You got any good questions?
No, I've just been listening the whole time. Kind of like you in class, just kind of.
So good all in. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has. It was nice. I like the setup, the flow.
You guys got any topics in particular you want to kind of address?
I
Things.
feel like we did. I feel
Yeah.
like we addressed
You guys were great.
exactly
Yeah.
what I would want to talk about.
Like we said, it's like usually, like sometimes we literally show up and we're like, you have a topic? No. You have a topic? No. We sit here and we're like, all right, let's start talking.
Yeah.
And something flows. It's just like, that's a cool thing about a podcast, like versus like actually having like, we're gonna talk about A, B, and C. Is that we can start off like with introductions. And then end up going here, here, and then be like, we want to talk about this, and then we go back to it. Versus being like, okay, hi, I'm this, all right, we're talking about this today.
Right.
It's like it's not. We're not set. We don't talk to the man. We don't stick to the man. We go do our own thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, let it flow. That's how I love podcasts.
Yeah, that was in the beginning. We had like a set schedule, and then it's kind of just went everywhere. So we threw it out.
We've had so many guests that literally sit like it will like be so awkward for like 15 minutes. Like Adam was literally just like he's like I don't know what to say. I was like, dude, we're just talking. Like, we talk at the gym all the time.
Conversation,
That's why we had the wine.
Well, he's more
Get a little
of a
loose.
He's more of a guy. Yeah.
Get a little loose. Just talk it out.
We have a big guy coming out in about 2 weeks, and he's gonna bring the whiskey, so it'll be a fun.
Big guy like big. Or big guy
Like he'll need that whole side.
No, he's big.
What does he do? He's a power.
He's like a very elite, but he's like 308.
He's 308.
Oh my god.
I'm guessing you have different chairs.
Yeah, we'll bring the couch for him.
Yeah, he's big old boy from Texas.
Strong though.
You might have to build a big wooden bench or something for him.
Something like that. Or we're going slide with it too. But
Are you gonna do the outro? Well, you usually do.
I guess it's the outro. Yeah. Episode 19, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 19. Do you guys want to give any out remarks? Anything? Oh, you want to talk about
get our journal.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to outro the journal.
Yeah. Tell me where to find it.
At Amazon. Here it is. I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see it.
Can you see the title?